excited about the message that I'm going to share with you than I think I've ever been about one. And I just want to thank God in advance for this time that we get to share together. And I'm very grateful to be here with you, and I'm grateful that you're here. And I think this will be a fun run here the next few minutes. How many of you, as you've been here, have been sort of reflecting on your life? I certainly hope that, to be honest with you all, that's really why we brought you here, is to make some decisions. For you to take the collective hours of this entire event and seize one moment. Take one moment and make a decision, make a choice to upgrade, to change, to shift, whatever it is. And for me, I've had a chance to reflect while I've been here too, and it's been an interesting year. I look back at the last year of my life, it's been a very interesting one. In business, it's been the best year ever in business. But my personal and my family life has been the most trying. Some of you know this, and I appreciate all the prayers many of you sent my family, but within a span of about within a span of about 7 weeks, the three most important men in me and my family's life, some major things happened. And it started in October. My father-in-law, Christiana's dad, who I've known since I was a little boy, wasn't feeling very well. He had been in and out of the hospital a little bit, but nothing serious. He had checked back in to get his kidneys looked at. And he's just a wonderful man. He was a good Christian man. He gave me my wife, so I love this dude a lot. And as a good Christian man, he passed away like you probably want to if you're a good Christian man, but we lost him suddenly, actually. It was a Sunday, and he was laying in the hospital bed, feeling very well. We had seen him earlier in the day. And he was watching football, sitting there with the love of his life, Patricia, my mother-in-law. And he said, would you read me the church bulletin? Because they couldn't go to church that Sunday. And she said, sure, sweetheart. And she looks down and reads the first sentence of the church bulletin, and looks back up, and he was gone. And pass away like you want to if you're a Christian man, with the love of your life there watching football, having the church bulletin read to you. But it was a shock for our family, and my wife got a call, and all she said to me, we were together as a family, she said, Code Blue, I gotta go see my dad. I don't even know what Code Blue means. And she runs out of the home, our house, and calls me a couple hours later and says, Daddy's gone, and she's hysterical. And she's a baby in the family. You dads are in the room, you pride yourself on protecting your family and leading your family and shielding them from any pain, don't we? It's the first time in my life I wasn't able to do that for my wife. The kind of pain that she went through losing her daddy was just, it'd be a week later and I'd find her in the closet somewhere changing clothes, crying. She just missed her daddy. And just come over her. It just killed me. You dads that are here, we're going to talk to the men for a minute. Are you doing the job you're supposed to protecting and leading your families? Are you doing everything you physically can to make their dreams come true? Are you doing everything in every moment you possibly can? Are you the strongest man you could possibly be for that family? My father was a pretty amazing example, by the way. When I first picked Christiana up for their first date, I got there a little early and I kind of peeked in the window. This is no joke. Him and my mother-in-law were in the middle of the living room slow dancing together. And Christopher will tell you that he's seen the same thing in my family, and I've witnessed that more than 50 times in my life, where I'd walk over, they were so in love. It was one of these magic marriages. I had to sit down and do the hardest thing in my life that day. I had to sit down with my little girl who was 7 and my son who was 8 at the time. We have a very close family. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law, all my sisters and my mom and dad, we all live within 5 minutes of each other. So when our family went to a baseball game, both grandparents are there, cousins are there, aunties are there, uncles are there. It's a very, very, very close family. And my son and my father-in-law had a very unique relationship. It was a special one. And I had to sit these two precious little guys down, and it's hard. I'm pretty good with words. I had none. And I had to let them know that Papa was gone and he was in heaven now. And my daughter immediately jumped on me and just hugged me and didn't say a word for a couple hours. She just wouldn't let go of me. My son says, Daddy, he says, is he okay? Is he hurting? Is he in pain? Is the questions kids ask and you don't have the answers to. Dad, does he get a healthy body now up there? Can we talk to him one more time? Dad, I can't talk to Papa one last time? Out of the whole conversation, I kept remembering my son saying he wanted to talk to Papa one last time. And about 3 days after Howard had passed away, I just had this sense. It was about 11 o'clock at night, the kids were asleep, and Christian was, I just had this sense I should go check on my son. Sometimes dads get those senses, and I walked down the hallway, and before I could even get there, I could hear my little guy in the room crying. All by himself, tucked in bed. And he had a pocket watch that his papa had given him. It was the last gift papa had given him. He was holding on to his pocket watch. I said, hey, bud, what are you doing? He says, I just miss Papa and Daddy. I want to talk to him one last time. And I said, well, then let's do it. And I got into bed with my little guy, and we said a prayer, and we talked to Papa for a while. And Max got to tell Papa all the things he would tell him if he only had one last time. It's probably the most beautiful experience of my life, watching my little boy talk to his Papa one last time. And I believe he really believes, and I believe Papa heard him. At the funeral, I remember at the funeral, I was holding both my kids, and Christiana was in front of us, and my dad was 2 rows back to the left. My dad and I are best friends. My wife and I have a relationship that you can only have with a husband and a wife, and that's above everything. But my best friend in the world is my dad. We're not close, we're beyond close. He knows everything about me, and I know everything about him. It's not a normal father-son relationship. I'm named after, in fact, I'm Edward III, named after my grandfather, and we're very close. I just remember thinking, I actually came over me several times during the funeral. I can't imagine if this was my dad. I couldn't process the thought, but it kept coming up. If this was my dad, if this was dad, if this was dad, what would my sisters, oh, my mom, what would I do? And 2 weeks later, my dad called me. Said, I need you to come over. So what's going on? Hey, nothing, just swing on by when you can, but do it tonight. I said, okay. I'm there now. I live 5 minutes away. I was there in 5 minutes. My office, by the way, is 2 minutes away. So we literally walked to my dad's house from where our office was. He sat me down and said they found a tumor in my chest. They don't think it's cancer, though, but they're having a hard time getting me to have this surgery because my heart's so bad, my heart rate's so bad. And so a couple weeks after that, I found myself the eve of my dad's surgery. Having just lost my father-in-law, I'm thinking, if my kids lose another grandparent within weeks of each other, I can't even imagine this, as close as our family is. My dad called me, I was getting a root canal. I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting a root canal. He goes, I'd really like you to come over tonight. My dad never puts anybody out, never imposes. I said, why? What's up? He goes, well, my surgery's in the morning. I said, I know, I'm going to be there. He goes, I want you to come by. And so I said, okay, when this root canal was done, I'll come by. And I came by, and my dad's not an emotional guy. Christopher will tell you, my sister will tell you. And he said, I just wanted to have a conversation with you. You know, I'm having surgery tomorrow, so I know that I'm trying to not let him know I'm worried, so I think he thinks I don't care, right? I said, you're going to be fine. He goes, well, it could be several hours, you know, my heart's not great. And he said, I just want to tell you what I'd tell you if I couldn't talk to you again. And he proceeded to pour his heart out to me for about an hour about how much he loved me and how we were best friends. And it's just moves you and goes, you know, I'd like to see your face flash tomorrow if I could before I go in. I got there late for the surgery. He was already in the OR with all the stuff in him, and I literally broke the door, busted the door, ran in, and I said, Dad, I said, I'm here, I want you to see me. He says, I love you. And in about a minute, he was under. The doctor came out an hour into the surgery and said, not so good news, this tumor is everywhere. It's on the left side of his chest from his lung down to his abdomen. We're going to be in there. I said, how long are we talking? He says, 10 hours. And so we get hit with my dad having cancer and have to go through radiation. 2 days into my dad's radiation, he calls me and says, what are you doing? I says, I'm driving. He says, you don't need to come over. I just want you to know that Papa passed away. This is my Papa. My dad passed away today. He had a heart attack. This is the man I'm named after. This is my hero since I was a little boy. It's my grandfather. He's my hero. And so within about 3 separate weeks, we went from the funeral to my dad's cancer to losing my grandfather. It makes you appreciate people. It makes you appreciate moments. It makes you think about your last moments. It makes you think about how valuable time is. We can put that picture up there. 5 years ago in this room, I gave a talk. You can put it up there, guys. I gave a talk in this room about 5 years ago. Do we have it, Paul? Back there. These are the 3 Ed Myletts. And I gave a talk to some of you where I said, the guy in the middle there is Edward Michael Joseph Mylett the first. The guy to his left is my dad, Junior, and I'm the third. And I said, someday those seats will change. I can literally look at my future in that picture. You can already see I've gotten a little older since that picture. And those seats have already changed. The seats change pretty dramatically and pretty quickly in life, faster than you think. And I'm not many years removed from being the guy on the left side of the picture than I am the guy on the right. The guy in the middle is in heaven now. The guy on the left has cancer. The guy in the center is talking to you. It makes you begin to reflect. My dad was so ill, I'm going to show Elmo. My dad was so ill that he couldn't go to his own father's funeral. And I flew back to represent our family. There was a beautiful eulogy, and I got to be honest with you, I've been to funerals, but it's different than when it's a funeral, it's your name. Can you imagine sitting at a funeral and they're saying your name and reflecting on a life? It hits you differently. In fact, God is amazing. I wore this suit to that funeral. I'm not embarrassed to tell you, I didn't dry clean it after that funeral. I shipped it to Idaho to get ready for this convention. And as I was getting ready for my talk this morning, I pulled out of my pocket my grandfather's eulogy that my uncle gave me that I was supposed to give to my dad so he could hear the eulogy. I just want you to see something visually, if I can, on Elmo here, that might make an impact on you. Can I go to Elmo here? Is it up? Can you see what that says? Edward J. Mylett eulogy. Imagine sitting there seeing your name there. Good morning. Welcome to Ed's Celebration of Life. I'm honored to be here today to reminisce about Edward J. Mylett, Eddie, Papa. While I was contemplating to use the words to describe Papa and his wonderful journey through life, I found this task to be rather easy because so many words describe him as a person, a friend, a wonderful human being. Papa is a man who has done so much for so many and never asked anything in return. He's a man feared by no one and loved by all.